Welcome to the Weird and Witchy Sh podcast. I'm Kristy, your basic witch guide, here to make the mystical a little bit more approachable. In today's lesson, we dive into some magical ideas for a ritualistic full moon. Today, I'm actually doing a video version of the podcast, so if you're not already, pop on over to YouTube at kristysyogacoven and you will get to see my face, if that's something that you desire. If not, then that's fine. That's fine. Let's move on. So, as the title suggests, I'm going to be giving you some ideas of rituals and spells that you can do on the full moon. But first of all, let's cover why you might want to do this and some general tips that I have for preparing for a full moon. So as I'm sure you know, the moon is always in its full form, but the way that it's visible to us on Earth is what changes. So the moon appears full when it's directly opposite the sun, so the sun is illuminating the moon in its entirety. The moon has fascinated people since probably the beginning of time. The very first people who ever did see the moon were probably fascinated by the moon. I mean, much like the sky has in general, people have used the sky to gain clarity and understanding of their lives and to even predict the future. As people began to study the sky, certain correlations were made and patterns began to form, leaving people to believe that movement and changes in the sky directly impacted us down here on Earth, as above, so below. Over the centuries, it's also been noted how the moon not only impacts the oceans, but people as well. So some common things that people notice during a full moon include changes in sleep, such as insomnia or being unable to fall into a deep sleep. I personally experienced this, I would say, not always on the full moon, but in the days leading up to the full moon, as if I can kind of feel this build up of energy happening, and I really struggle to sleep during these times. Heightened emotions and very intense feelings, being more connected to your intuition, and physical changes such as headaches and fatigue. So how to actually work with the moon. So the full moon is a time of very potent energy, and doing spell work on a full moon can really give your spell this extra boost of energy. In the way the sun is illuminating the moon fully, you can use this energy to bring a full illumination to something in your life. However, because at the point of the full moon, it's at its brightest and its fullest, and will gradually descend into darkness again from this point forward until the full darkness of the new moon, I typically don't like to cast spells for new beginnings on the full moon. I tend to save these instead for the new moon. Think about it. Say I want a spell for a brand new job, something that doesn't exist yet in my physical life. The spell is the planting of the seed that I want to grow and flourish. So if I'm working with the moon on this particular spell, I do this on the new moon. In the total darkness, where almost in quotations, nothing exists at that moment. And then as the moon begins to grow, so will my desire. I tend to work with the full moon when I want to release something or illuminate something that already exists. For example, if I wanted to bring a boost of growth to this YouTube channel, I would maybe do a spell for this on a full moon because it's illuminating something that's already there, rather than planting a whole new seed. However, just because this is how I do it doesn't mean that it has to be the way that you do it. And sometimes you literally just have to do a spell regardless of what phase the moon is in. Like, say I did want to bring something new into my life and I was doing a spell on an evening that just so happened to be a full moon, it wouldn't stop me doing the spell. I just personally maybe wouldn't work with the energy of the moon for that particular spell, if that makes sense. And I don't always work with the moon for my spells, but it is a bonus if the moon is in a phase or a sign that suits my spell. Then I'll invite her on in. Come on in, sweetheart. Just imagine the moon being like, don't fucking call me sweetheart, you stupid little human. But if I am going into a full moon with the intention of working with the moon's energy, then I am going to be a little bit more particular about what kind of spell I'm doing. But like I said, it's your life and I'm not your real mum, so fuck around and find out. One thing I pretty much always like to know is what sign the moon is in. I am a big astrology girl, hence why I talk about astrology here on this channel and on this podcast quite a lot. I just really like to work with the astrology and whatever sign the moon is in. This kind of like adds for me like this like extra layer of intention if I know what kind of energy the moon is given off on any particular day. For example, the next full moon for me is in Cancer, so I might think about that Cancerian energy and how I can work with that. So I might look at my emotional world, my home life, my family life, my very like close relationships, nurturing myself, nurturing others, past memories, ancestors, and see if there's like anything there within that realm that I want to bring kind of powerful energy into, because the moon is going to be on my side with that because it's already given off all this Cancerian energy. I could also see if there's anything in these areas in my life that I might want to release and make smaller as the moon starts to decrease. I might also look at the more, again, quotation marks, negative traits of that sign. Again, we'll just use Cancer as an example. So this could be manipulation, moodiness, inability to let go. And I could see if there's a part of myself or something going on in my life that I want to kind of let go of these things. And I view that as like shining a light on the things to be able to let them go. Right, now that's some of like the basics out of the way. Let's get on to some ideas on how you can actually spend the full moon. I would say all of these are very beginner friendly. I feel like I'm probably not telling you anything particularly revolutionary here, but you know, it's always nice to like have like attainable things that you can do, and all of these are like either like a little bit of effort to like a medium amount of effort, and I think it's something that everybody could probably do to some capacity. Charging items in the moon. I'm sure we've all heard of this, putting crystals out to let them be cleansed by the moon or whatever, but you can actually charge anything you want. Like, I like to charge my, I can't say this word, so don't take the piss out of me, jewelry in the full moon. Let's just call them effects, okay? Because I kind of sometimes just like to say, oh, my effects, because I can't say that word, and effects sounds cool and piratey, and I like it. So there is a difference between cleansing and charging. Cleansing is kind of like what it sounds like. It's like energetically washing away unwanted energy. And charging is infusing something with a particular type of energy. So you could charge your rings for protection, for love, for luck, for anything you want. You could kind of charge them to be like in honor of a specific goddess. Like, I always wear my Persephone ring. I mean, you can honestly charge literally whatever you want. A hair accessory, your purse or your wallet, your makeup, your perfume, a journal, crystals. The world is literally your oyster to charge. You can also charge oysters, I guess. You don't have to do this with the moon. You can do this like by speaking out loud and telling the item what you're charging it for, and I recommend getting very specific with it. You can say this just in like a normal way, or you can like repeat some kind of incantation or mantra. I always like to have little rhymes to say feels good to me, and I like to be like a little bit like, I don't know, I just like to feel like a little bit like flowery and fancy sometimes. And then you can leave the item just sitting on your window ledge on its own to be charged by the moonlight. If you have like a garden and you're certain that your shit's not going to be stolen, then you can leave it outside. Or you can leave the item in a bowl of herbs that correspond to the kind of energy that you're trying to infuse the ring with. Or you could lay the item in salt if you're wanting to cleanse something. This can be as elaborate or low-key as you like. I'm extra, and a lot of times I really like doing the most, but I'm also busy, so sometimes I also literally do the bare minimum because, as we all do, I've got a life to be getting on with. Also, sometimes we have like different energy levels, we've got different shit going on. Sometimes I like to do something a little bit more like elaborate with my spell work. Sometimes it's literally something that takes like 1 minute, or I literally light some incense and I'm like, alright, that's life cleansed. It really does just depend, but in my personal experience, I find that the more that I put into something, the more I tend to get out of it. Suggestion number 2. So make moon water or moon oil or moon soap or moon anything you like. Again, moon water is probably the most common and easy thing to do on the full moon. You just get a bottle or a jar of water and charge it in the full moon with intention, much like I explained. I actually like to write my intention down on a piece of paper and then set the jar or the bottle on top of it and leave it out overnight somewhere that the moonlight's going to come in and charge it with the energy. This is one that I do really like to work with whatever sign the moon is in with. So for instance, if the moon was in Gemini, I might charge this water with the intention of good communication, adaptability, quick thinking, something along those lines, because that's very like Gemini energy. If the moon was in Aries, I might charge it for motivation and energy. If the moon was in Sagittarius, I might charge it for like exploration and fun. And then you could use this moon water in spells. You could add it to your bath. You could sprinkle it over your aura when you need a boost of whatever energy that you've charged it with. You could cleanse your hands with it. You could cleanse other items with it. Do what you want. And you don't have to just make moon water. You can literally make moon whatever you want. If you use oils, you could make an oil on the full moon and then charge it to really give it like an extra like boost of whatever your intention is. So for instance, if you were making a prosperity oil, you might make a blend of bay leaves, basil, and cinnamon, and maybe the moon is in Capricorn, so you charge it with this kind of like hard working determination, because that's what Capricorn is very good for. And maybe that's like for your prosperity oil, you want the moon to come to you through like your hard work and determination. Or maybe the full moon is in Pisces, so you charge the oil in the moon because you want it to flow to you in like a creative or strange kind of way, or unexpected way, I should say. Again, you also don't have to work with like the whatever sign the moon is in. You can just charge it in the full moon. This is just like personally like a big part of my practice. You could also charge something that you already use in your daily life, like soap. I've actually never done this before, and I am going to do it on this full moon because I actually think it's such a good idea. I mean, I've charged like personal items for my personal use, but I've actually not charged a household item like soap that everybody uses. But I'm definitely going to charge some bits in the next Cancer full moon for more family and household stuff, because it seems like the kind of perfect time to do that, for a kind of like harmonious home life, loving environment, etc, etc. I mean, you could also do this with a candle, so that every time you burn that candle, you're filling your home up with this energy. There honestly is so many limitless options for how you can go about this. Have a bath or shower. Honestly, literally, my answer to absolutely everything in life is to have a bath or a shower. Anything could be going wrong and you're like, I literally can't cope right now, and I'd be like, have you tried going for a bath? Because honestly, it cures my mental health so much. I feel like I can't say that online. I can't be like, a bath literally cures my mental health. It doesn't cure my mental health, but sometimes there's definitely been times where I've been like, wow, if it wasn't for this bath, I would have really tipped over the fucking edge today. But a ritual bath is no ordinary bath. This bath is intentional from beginning to end. So a good way to, actually, there's 2 ways that I kind of like to do this. So the first is to either go for a shower and imagine all the things that you're releasing and letting go of, pouring down the drain and washing away to be transformed into something else. And then once you feel like you've really released and let go everything that you want to release and let go, you then pour yourself a bath filled with herbs or flowers or just nice products that correlate to how you want to feel. For instance, if this was a self-love bath, you might shower and imagine insecurities, toxic thoughts, other people's opinions all washing away and getting pulled down the drain to be transformed into something new by the world, by the universe, by the ocean, blah blah blah. And then once you feel like you've let go of all these things that you don't want to be holding on to, you then maybe will go for a nice intentional bath filled with maybe rose petals, lavender, salts, maybe a really luxurious bath bomb. And then as I was adding these things to my bath, I would add them with intention. So you tell each thing what you're adding it for. So you might be like, I am adding lavender so I feel calm and relaxed in myself. This is your job, to help me relax and feel positive about my whatever it is. And you just kind of tell every ingredient exactly what its job is. Otherwise, how is it literally going to know what it's doing? And then as you sit in the bath, you can envision all these properties infusing your body and filling up all the newly created space with love, acceptance, compassion, confidence, whatever it is. Or you can do it the other way around and you can go for a bath and imagine the water pulling all these unwanted things out of you. And then when you kind of feel like you're fully cleansed and everything has been drawn out of you, you can pull the plug while you're still in the bath and you let all that water drain out completely while you just sit in the bath and imagine all that unwanted shit just being pulled out of you and flowing down the drain. And then you go for a shower afterwards and you shower yourself with all the good vibes, all the good intentions. And again, you can bring in products or whatever into this. Also, if you don't have a bath, you can just do both parts in the shower. Take your time, washing yourself physically as you kind of wash away the things energetically as well. You could even use a body scrub, and when the first part of the releasing and letting go is over, you can even make a little spell bag and fill it with nice little things such as, again, rose petals, lavender, whatever it is that you're trying to bring into your life, and rub this all over your body, kind of infusing yourself with all of that positive, loving energy, or your ritual bath doesn't have to be for self-love. It can literally be for like anything. It can be for good luck, it can be for prosperity, it can be for confidence, it can be for anything that you want it to be. Whatever you do, I recommend making it as special as possible. Try to do this at a time where you're not going to feel rushed, and you can light candles or burn incense and use body lotion or body oil afterwards. But with that being said, you also just have to work with what you've got and the time and space that you've got. If you can't spend like 3 hours in the bathroom, then a 10-minute intentional shower can be just as beneficial. If you can't source herbs or flower petals and bougie shit like that, you can just use a really nice shower gel that you like the smell of. You don't ever need all of the extra stuff. It is your intention that matters, and this stuff is of course really nice to have, but just do what you've got to do. Yin yoga. So another thing about me, other than always recommending baths, is recommending yoga. So yin yoga is a quiet style of yoga, and it's based on the Chinese philosophy of yin and yang. So if yang is like the masculine sunshine, going and getting, action orientated energy, then yin is the opposite to that. It's the feminine moon energy, the more receptive kind of chill energy. It's not doing nothing. It's more like the opposite to the sun. I actually have a video on masculine and feminine. I can link that because I see it being used wrong a lot. I feel online. I feel like when people are like, oh, I'm in like my like divine feminine era, they see that as being like very, very like submissive, and that's just not it. There's no time to get into it right now. Anyway, this is why I have a script, because I can just like fucking chat for ages, and my brain's honestly like my brain cells like a little ping pong ball, just like beating around in there, like ding ding dinging around, so who knows what it'll hop to next. Anyway, yin is a quiet style of yoga that involves holding poses for an extended period of time, typically 3 to 5 minutes, but it can be longer, it can be shorter, it just depends. Physically, this style of yoga is beneficial for the connective tissues that surround the muscles, that's called fascia. It's also really good for your joints. It increases flexibility, it helps to improve posture, it can help with chronic pain and increases circulation. The benefits are absolutely huge for yin yoga. It also really helps you to be still, something which probably none of us actually ever do enough. It kind of teaches you to relax into the discomfort and to be quiet with your thoughts. For me, yin yoga is the perfect meditation meets movement. It helps you connect to your breath and to be present, but it also helps to remove any kind of stagnant energy or blockages in the meridians of your body. I honestly could never actually say enough about yin yoga and its benefits on your mental, physical and energetic health. It's really, really a practice that I think could benefit so many people in the world, and I think it's sinful that yoga along with meditation isn't taught in schools. But anyway, the reason I like this practice on a full moon is because it can really help you to let go of doing, to let go of pushing. It's just a total release. So you can come to your practice with the intention of releasing something mentally, physically, energetically. You just breathe into it, you work through it, and you let go. So we know there's no way round, the only way is through, and yin yoga is like a really good reminder of that. You can also do yin yoga to work on a specific chakra, something which I actually love to do. Chakra work with yin yoga is one of my favourite ways to work with the chakras. So you can do something like a whole practice specifically for one chakra, or you can do like a whole chakra balancing practice, maybe with like one pose per chakra is quite a good way to do it. I also like to have a mantra or an affirmation with me to take to my practice, and this can help to keep me anchored to my intention and to the present moment. You can find like an actual yoga class to go to for the full moon if there's a studio near you that either just has regular yin classes or is doing something special for the full moon, or you can practice at home. My personal favourite person on YouTube for yin yoga specifically is Yoga with Cassandra. She's not witchy, she is just an excellent yoga teacher, and she often has affirmations in her classes, she has chakra classes, and she even has yin yoga that you can do in bed. She's got all different lengths of practices as well, and she also has classes for each zodiac sign. They're not all yin classes, but if you like yoga in general, like, I mean, she's great. I love Yoga with Cassandra and Yoga with Adrian are always like my go-to, and I know they are the most popular yoga teachers probably on YouTube, but I really, really, really like them, and I've like practiced with them for like a really long time, and I think they're popular because they are fantastic. I also really think the yin is amazing on and around the full moon. If you're like me and you really struggle to sleep with all that kind of energy swirling about, it sometimes feels like my mind really struggles to be quiet, and yin kind of helps me to chill the fuck out and get nice and sleepy if I do it in the evening. Full moon meditation. So especially yoga nidra style of meditation. So yoga nidra is typically like a body scan style of meditation. It has so many benefits on mental health, trauma, sleep. Honestly, just like yin yoga, the benefits are fucking huge. Like, it's way too much to like get into. I can't remember if I have a video on yoga nidra, but maybe I will. And I also don't know if I have any actual yoga nidra practices on this channel, but if not, and that's something that you would like from me, then please let me know. I love guiding yoga nidra as well. Like, I love doing it. I love guiding it. I think it's fucking amazing. On a full moon, you could meditate under the moon. This would be amazing to do outside if you can do so safely and privately. But at home near a window is also great if possible. If you can't do it right by a window, honestly, don't worry, the world will not end. Typically, the person guiding the yoga nidra will say areas of the body for you to bring your awareness to. For full moon practices specifically, I sometimes like to visualise that area, either drawing in the energy of the moon to kind of like illuminate my whole being with that energy, or again, just depending on what I'm intending here, the moon drawing out unwanted energy from my body to release it back to be recycled into something else. But probably the way yoga nidra is like most beneficial in general terms is to just bring your awareness to that area and just notice it as it is and notice the energy as it is and don't do anything about it. It's kind of like a practice of total acceptance. But if I am doing this for a full moon specific reason, then I do change my visualization slightly. I really like Ali Boothroyd's yoga nidra videos. She does, I believe, have new moon and full moon ones, and if not, there must be millions out there on YouTube, but Ali Boothroyd in particular is always my go-to, and she is someone that I have recommended to loads of people. Like, when I have people who come to my classes and they really love the yoga nidra portion of what I do, I always tell them to look up Ali Boothroyd, which is probably silly of me because they're like, hey Kristy, I really love your yoga nidra, and I'm like, I should probably like upload some yoga nidra videos so that I can actually guide people back to my own YouTube channel. I don't know, sometimes I feel weird about people I know like in real life, like seeing me on YouTube. That feels like a little bit weird. Next suggestion is to read tea leaves. So I am not a seasoned reader of tea leaves, but I do think it's fun, and I think it's extra fun if you invite your friends around and you can all do it together. Full moon circles are a time where people gather together and share. This can be sharing what's on their mind, what they're hoping to manifest, just anything really. The whole idea is to be in like a safe space and share. So why not host your own full moon circle of sorts and get your friends round and read some tea leaves. For this, you can buy some loose leaf tea, or you can make it part of the evening where you actually make your own tea. Just like make your own tea depending on what your intentions are. Obviously, this is going to be more expensive, but if you do have the extra money to buy herbs and other ingredients, I think it's a really cute idea. But again, not essential, just work with what you have. Or you could just buy a loose leaf tea for everyone, and then each person could add one ingredient, and they're kind of charging and adding that ingredient with intention to kind of make their tea more specific to them. For example, I'm adding a pinch of nutmeg for happiness, comfort and good vibes. I'm adding some lavender for peace. I'm adding honey for love and beauty. Don't know why I said honey. I literally never use honey. I'm vegan and I don't use honey. I don't know why that came to mind, but I did. And then when you're reading the tea leaves, it could be fun to each interpret what you see in each other's tea. Again, this doesn't have to be serious. It can just be like lighthearted and fun. I mean, you might surprise yourself and you might come up with something like deeply profound that you never thought that you would come up with. But if not, it really doesn't matter. I don't think I'm the best at reading tea leaves. I'm probably actually like a little bit shit at reading tea leaves. But I do always find it fun, and it's cool to see what everyone picks up on differently as well. Okay, so I've kind of went into detail on a few of them there. Now I'm going to do some quick fire ones. So burning away your worries. This is such a simple yet powerful ritual, and you literally just write down your worries and burn them away. Of course, doing this safely. I'm sure I don't need to tell you that. This is such a cathartic thing to do, and it is a physical representation of releasing and letting go. You could also carve your worry onto the side of a candle and let it burn down that way. Cleansing your home. So physically cleaning and tidying your home, but also energetically cleansing your home. You can do this with smoke or like incense or like a cleansing stick, or you can cleanse with like noise such as music or bells or banging pots and pans or screaming and shouting. Or you could maybe like make a room spray, maybe with moon water. Just make sure to open up all your windows so that you're actually letting that energy go somewhere. Journaling, either your feelings or your manifestations. Easy. Practice psychic abilities. Like I said, intuition is likely higher at the point of the full moon, so now would be a good time to practice your intuitive or psychic skills by reading tarot, scrying, pendulum work, or whatever types of divination you like to work with. Get out in nature. So the full moon is such a good time to get out and connect with nature. If you can do this at nighttime, even better. Like a mindful, meditative walk can be so peaceful. Howl at the moon. So this has been on my bucket list since a friend of mine told me that she went on a date with this guy to the woods on a full moon. and both of them literally screamed and howled and shouted and like let it all out under the moon. And I think that's like such a cool idea. I would absolutely love to do that, because I have plenty of rage in this body of mine that I just feel like the moon needs to hear about, you know? I mean, I do stay in the city centre, like pretty close to the city centre. I'm in like pretty busy area, so I do feel like if I went to the park and did this, somebody would definitely be phoning the police. So just again, being mindful of that. We're not trying to like cause bother or worry anybody or piss anybody off. So, and that is it for this episode of Weird and Witchy Shit. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please interact with this episode wherever it is that you're listening. If you're over on YouTube, hi, please subscribe, become a little coven member. That'd be cute, wouldn't it? Anyway, until next time, bye.